Hey, TikTok. So has anybody else seen the major win for Flat Earth and just the truth community? NASA issues official statement as space agency begins shutting down social media accounts. Now I know what you're thinking, Mike, there's no way. Well, it ain't. NASA is indeed shutting down some of its social media accounts, including those for popular missions like Mars, Curiosity rover, and Voyager spacecraft. Now they're telling you, right, it's for consolidation, right? We don't want to oversaturate. There's so many accounts. What? Guys, that has nothing to do with oversaturation and consolidation and everything to do with how many flat earthers, right? Just truthers or people that are waking up and understanding that NASA is a complete and total sham and they don't like it. But if you go to the lives on YouTube, whenever they're doing a live launch for SpaceX, NASA, etc., whatever, it is just all flat earthers. Constantly asking questions that can't be answered, asking for evidence that there isn't any because it's not real, and then constantly putting out evidence and or links and stuff to actual information that can be verified from the flat earth and or level plane perspective. It's just so great to actually see that. What do you know? Slowly but surely, it's all coming around.
What if I told you that allegedly this thing's not even in outer space? This was during a live stream, allegedly, okay? Look, oh, what was that? Did you see it, like, glitch? Oh, the Earth's back. Never mind. No big deal. Y'all watch closely, okay? And you tell, look, bloop. Look at that. That looks like panels, doesn't it? Huh. Strange. Matter of fact, it almost looks like this right here, which would look like a studio, but we know it's not in the studio. We know for a fact this thing's in outer space, y'all. I mean, you know, if they were to have it in the studio, though, that's the perfect little thing it's sitting on. There's the guy, and that must be like a replica, or it's probably gonna be like that what they were practicing before they sent it to space, right? When it glitched, look right there. Look at that background. That was literally a live stream that was recorded, okay? So I don't really know where to go from here with that. Does anybody want to kind of help me out or tell me what you think?
Typical rebuttal from the globe Earth community is, man, I want whatever you're on. If you believe the Earth is flat, I want whatever you're on. And the simple response is, we're on flat Earth, the same as you. Simple as that.
We've literally given you pictures of the ice wall. Here, we'll show you. Well, here's one.
Alright.
And here's another one. And there's people actually standing here. Not only that, since all water requires physical containment to have any depth whatsoever on Earth, Earth is actually factually flat using the physics of water.
Not enough people are aware that Netflix is a vessel for mass psychological warfare. The co-founder of Netflix, Mark Randolph, is the great-nephew of Edward Bernays. Edward Bernays is known as the father of propaganda, and Edward Bernays himself is the nephew of Sigmund Freud, who's known as the father of psychoanalysis. So Bernays took his understanding of Freudian psychology and applied it to mass communication and manipulation of the collective unconscious. He worked for both the CIA and the military in the realm of psychological operations. And in 1928, Bernays wrote a book titled Propaganda. 5 years prior, he wrote a book titled Crystallizing Public Opinion. The cherry on top, though, is Bernays' involvement with the Vatican. Cardinal Francis Spellman, the Archbishop of New York, sent Bernays to the Vatican to learn and study the Jesuits' methods of mental programming. This visit took place in 1957, the same year the papal bull Miranda Porcis was issued, which publicly commands all Roman Catholics to seize as much control of media as possible, whether that be through television, movies, or news outlets. For a little more context on Jesuit involvement in programming through entertainment, the Hollywood Production Code was written by Jesuit priest Daniel Lord S.J., and the Jesuits have been producing theatrical work since the time of their inception, and even helped write the works of Shakespeare through Sir Toby Matthew, who was a close friend of Francis Bacon and the Rosicrucians. So we know these guys have an affinity for programming through media. Ignoring the connection between their founder and the father of propaganda, Edward Bernays, let's examine Netflix a little further. work. The wife of Mark Randolph and the former CEO of Netflix was Jesuit trained at 2 different private Jesuit institutions. Other Netflix executives are also Jesuit indoctrinated, while others like Suzanne Rice and Logan Jackson are Rhodes Scholars. The Cecil Rhodes Scholarship Program is to funnel the brightest young minds to Oxford and indoctrinate them into globalist alliance. It was stated by Cecil Rhodes at the time of his death in his will that he wanted to create a secret society that was modeled after the Jesuit order. Bill Clinton was a Rhodes Scholar. I'm going to make a video all about that. I actually posted one on another account that got taken down already. Most of you could probably pinpoint in your memory a show or a movie that you thought was a bit peculiar, programming to a degree, but the truth is 90% of them are. The most obvious being things like Leave the World Behind, Don't Look Up, Stranger Things, Marriage Story, The Two Popes, and even Big Mouth. And I'm sure you haven't forgotten about the movie that's borderline child entertainment, if you will. Cuties, it was called. That's my favorite one to go back and, rewatch, research for educational purposes. But yeah, Netflix, to no surprise for most of you, I'm sure, is a vessel of mass psychological manipulation.
But I mean, wouldn't the math, I don't know, you take some dude who say is just a mathematician on his own accord. He's not part of any agency or institution. He's not affiliated with anyone. You don't think someone at some point
Well, if you do the math that's specific for a sphere, you're going to get spherical results. I mean, non-Euclidean and Euclidean geometry are different in that way. Non-Euclidean is specific to 3-dimensional objects. So anytime you use non-Euclidean geometry, you're going to get 3-dimensional results. So yeah, for all intents and purposes, the math checks out, but you're using the incorrect math to get the results. So that's kind of begging the question anyway.
But that's what I'm saying. You don't think someone along the way that who has an IQ of 200 would be something's not right here?
Yeah, we're called flat earthers.
So the ISS is up in space. Why do they not take their Nikon camera and zoom right in and show us people in Australia upside down and that? Why can they not show us the Earth spinning and flying through space at 500,000 miles an hour? Orbiting the sun. We can take pictures of distant planets, billions of light years away and things. Why can these people in space on the ISS prove people like me wrong and shut us up once and for all and say, look, there's your globe and there's it spinning, and look, there's it going away at 500,000 miles an hour away through the galaxy? Why do they not do that? It's a bit strange, is it no?
The flat earth makes way more sense, but I started looking at all their claims and I started trying to debunk the flat earth. I'm this is so stupid that there's people out there that believe in this. And I start thinking to myself, how do I know I live on a globe again? And I'm well, obviously the moon landing is faked, but how do I know that I'm on a globe? And I start trying to relearn the heliocentric model with an adult, mind. Because it's one thing to learn it as a kid, you're just trying to pass the test, whatever these people say, okay, whatever. But then you're learning as an adult, they're saying that we're traveling around the sun at 66,600 miles per hour, and we're on a negative axis of 66.6 degrees. And then you learn how Polaris, the North Star, just stays there, and how all the other stars and constellations rotate around that. And you just start asking questions, and I just couldn't debunk it. It got to the point where it just I started studying their curvature formula, and then I just realized that there is no curvature, and I totally debunked it.
Here's a balloon I filled with helium and air. As you can see, the balloon is going down, but without touching the balloon, I can get the balloon to attract to my hand and defy gravity and move up. So the Earth is really big, and it should have a lot of gravity according to the paradigm. But as you can see, my arm, which is way smaller than the Earth, has more attraction to the balloon using electrostatics and defies gravity. So we know we can isolate electrostatics using a Van de Graaff generator, as you see on screen. The apparatus creates electrostatics in the dome, and can make objects float. Now, one thing that's never been done is the isolation of gravity to prove it's the cause of things falling and floating. So the fact that we can change the density of objects and use electrostatics directly to manipulate the cause proves that it isn't gravity causing things to fall.
So I asked AI to create an image of the world as depicted in the Bible. And this is what we got here. Now again, I'm not a flat earther. I don't even give a shit anymore if it's round or flat. But I'd like to know, just for the sake of knowing. Maybe I do care a little bit. But regardless, this is what AI believes the Bible said the world looks like. What's your take?
Anybody else find this odd? This is an aerial view of flat Earth, right? And this is what's on the United Nations flag, right? A flat, non-rotating Earth, right? The flag of the United Nations. They don't have this on the United Nations flag, right? I could spin around with my eyes closed and point in any direction, and as long as I stay straight in that direction, I will eventually reach Antarctica and the ice wall. That's why nobody's allowed in Antarctica or past the 60th parallel. This is a working flat Earth model that shows you how time zones work and how the sun travels. Globers say there is no top or bottom to the globe, which is so ridiculous. If you're on top of the North Pole and you want to travel to the South Pole, there's no magical force that's holding you to a ball that magically flips you the right way up when you travel to the other side of the Earth, because it's all flat.
The claim: stars rotate in opposite directions on a globe. Let's challenge this idea. Using Google Earth, we rotate the globe and recognize all the stars moving in one direction. Doesn't matter what direction I rotate this model, all the stars move in one uniform pattern. This model debunks the globe religion claims. The flat Earth is a 24-hour clock. The planisphere is also a 24-hour clock. This portion is the observer's point of view. Also seen here on the Flat Earth app. Horizon placement illustrates that this tool is based on our personal field of view. Same as the Flat Earth app. Let this gentleman explain.
Next thing to bring to your attention really is the horizon element, the horizon index, which is this yellow line all the way around the star field. And you can see we're showing western horizon over here, eastern horizon over here, southern horizon up here, and northern horizon down here. Actually rotate obviously around this fixed rivet point here.
And that fixed point is Polaris, the North Star. This planisphere also debunks separate star rotations. Notice the equator and the Tropic of Capricorn. This would indicate all star rotations move east to west around Polaris. To show the Tropic of Capricorn on this clock face completely obliterates the globe religion.
In Egypt, they have like a depiction of the firmament on the walls. You'll see the stars in the body of that goddess creature. It's usually feminine. And it is it's the heavens. It's what humans depicted as the blue sky. Because it was ancient flat earth cosmology. That's actually a drawing depiction of a real wall inscription in Egypt. So you can go and you could go see this on the walls. And notice how anthropomorphic they make it, yet it is mythology. And see the boat on the left? I wonder where that boat comes from, where these boats come from. There's another Egyptian myth where there's 8 people, 8 survivors on the flood. This guy's name was Noah. But in Egypt, there's a boat with 8 characters on it, and they're gods of some sort. So in the older stories, gods could even die. You're going to pretend your book is not built off the mythologies of these older civilizations. You live in a bubble. You're Bubble Boy.
So many times during spacewalks outside the International Space Station, we can see air bubbles rising up. Can you touch on how there are air bubbles in space?
Air Can you be more specific? Air bubbles?
So yeah, like a lot of times during the footage, the NASA footage, you can see bubbles coming up out of the helmets or kind of from underneath you. How do you explain bubbles in space?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. Now sometimes you get water in the helmet, and it's either from sweat or from the cooling garments. And in some of my spacewalks, I had like water in the helmet, not like I was going to drown in the helmet, but just little bits of water, probably came from sweat. Often on the outside of the space station, you'll liberate little pieces of, it's a really harsh environment out there, and the outside of the space station gets beat up pretty good. And sometimes, you'll see just little flecks of paint or something that you might have disrupted floating away from the suit. And, that's generally what that is. I've never seen any kind of air bubble anywhere.
Could it be that you're filming in an underwater pool and you're not really out there? All right, well, I just encourage everyone to look up bubbles in space, hashtag bubbles in space. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Fragment A has 223 teeth, matching the Saros cycle for eclipses, 18 years, 11 days. That's not guesswork, that's math. They used Babylonian astronomy tricks, like dividing circles into 360 degrees, and mixed it with Greek brainpower from folks like Hipparchus. The front dial showed the zodiac and Egyptian calendar, while the back had spirals tracking lunar phases. It even had a little ball for the moon's phases, black and white, spinning as you turned the crank. This wasn't a toy. It was a portable universe. Now, picture the craftsmanship. Those gears? Tiny, some with teeth you'd need a magnifying glass to count. X-ray scans show they're cut with eerie precision, maybe using tools we haven't even found yet. Scientists argue over whether they had lathes or just mad hand skills, but either way, it's nuts. And get this, inscriptions on it list planetary cycles, like Venus at 462 years, confirmed by CT scans in 2016. That's not just smart, it's spooky, like they knew more than we give them credit for. What blows my mind most is the context. This wasn't a one-off fluke. The shipwreck had luxury goods, statues, glassware, hinting it belonged to someone rich or important, maybe a scientist or noble. Was it a navigation tool for sailors, a teaching aid, or a status symbol? We don't know, but it screams sophistication. Yet after this, zilch. No Roman knockoffs, no medieval upgrades. It's like finding a smartphone in a cave and then seeing everyone go back to smoke signals.
The Flat Earth map dates back over 1,000 years. This map is credited to being created by a Persian astronomer. His name was Al-Biruni, and he lived between 973 AD to 1048 AD. It's the official map of the United Nations and also the United States Geological Survey. It used to be present in many places before the creation of NASA and the Antarctic Treaty in 1959. Here you see it with Admiral Byrd. This map has been restored by Dmitry from Russia with suggestions of mine, Eddie Alenkar. Known by my YouTube channel Flat Earth Banjo, I asked Dmitry to include the Bermuda Triangle and Point Nemo, a place deep in the Pacific where NASA buries rockets. Then Robert Tozzi, a professional mapmaker, came along and enhanced the map even more. There are many people now selling this map online, but if you could order it from my online store, I would greatly appreciate it. Visit my online store now and order one of the items. I humbly thank you.